Hi guys, this is Jessica, and today I'm going to be creating this art journal page using the supplies from the May 2020 Mixed Media Inspired subscription box. So to begin, I'm putting down a layer of gel medium in my regular size Dina Weekly Media journal, and I'm placing this gel medium just so it's slightly larger than the image you can see on the right there. And this image is printed on a laser printer, so this is perfect for image transfer. Inkjet printers won't work, so you either need to make sure that it's a laser print or something from a magazine or a calendar, because those are also laser printed. And after I have the gel medium spread out in a nice even layer, I'm going to press down my image to be transferred, and then make sure that it's completely adhered and leave it to dry. Now I let mine dry about an hour before I started this process. So after it's dry, I'm spraying the whole image with water, and I'm going to gently in circular motion start to remove the extra paper. Now you always want to make sure you're going in a circular motion, as this is a natural way for the paper to be lifted, and also you don't want to press too hard because you could start to actually remove the ink from the image. So you want to be a little bit gentle with this. But as you can see, as I'm rubbing in circular motion, the paper is starting to lift, and I'm starting to see the sand of the beach exposed. And I'm going to continue on until the entire image is looking as it is now. And because it doesn't completely cover my page, but I want it to look like it's an entire scene, I'm just using some paint. So here is Marine and Lapis from the Dina Weekly Media paint line. And I'm using my palette knife to kind of make it blend into the photo. It's not a perfect match, but as I'm going to layer more on here, I'm not too concerned that it's matchy-matchy. I just want it to not be obvious, have an obvious distinct white line. And I'm going to do the same with the area below. So here I'm using Sand and Buff, which is also from the Dina Weekly Media paint line. And I'm once again using my palette knife to spread it out, taking care to overlap onto the photo so there isn't a distinct line about where that image ends. And I did think that the sand was a little bit too light, so off camera I ended up going in with some buff and umber paint mixed together to create more of a sandy color that you can see in the image. So now I'm going to start to create what in my mind is like a coral reef is looking underneath the sea. So I'm using magenta, tangerine, and lemon on my palette knife, and I'm just brushing it on, kind of making sure that all the colors are represented and they're not touching each other. So like there's some space between the two areas of magenta. The areas of tangerine are broken up by the magenta. And I'm also taking care to not overly mix the colors to keep them in their original form. Now you can see in the areas of the yellow, the lemon color, that a little bit of the orange starts to blend into it, and I don't worry about it overly much. I'm just taking care not to go over and over and over it, because that will cause the colors to mix and blend. So I just place it down on the page, and I'm content with wherever it goes. And then I'm going to set this aside and allow it to dry. So after the paint is completely dry, I'm going in with a Dilutions journaling block. You could really use anything that's a straight line. I'm just using this as a guide to create lines. And a Fude ball pen, and you could use any of the pens that you typically use. I like this one because it allows me to write on paint where some don't. This one writes really nicely on acrylic. And I'm creating lines in all different heights because I'm going to create some seaweed, and I'm going to draw out some seaweed. So using my pen, I'm just adding little leaves, switching from side to side, left, right, left, right, left, right, adding leaves. And I'm going to do this for all of the lines. And for the areas where the leaves overlap, I'm just carefully either avoiding where they would overlap, or I'm only drawing half the leaf so it looks like they're behind each other or in front of each other. I'm going to do this for all of the stems that I drew earlier. And then I'm going to repeat these steps exactly the same on the top of the page. So it looks like there's seaweed growing up and there's seaweed extending down. Now I'm going back in and I'm adding little lines in the center of each of my leaves just to give some interest in doodled texture. So to color all the leaves, I scribbled some Distress Crayon in crushed olive onto my craft sheet. And using a little bit of water and a brush, I'm going to activate those crayons into more of a watercolor substance. And then I'm going to just place some in each of the leaves of my seaweed. And then after that's dried, I'm going to go in with a white Posca paint pen and add a tiny little white line in each of the leaves so it looks like the light is catching on the leaves. Some of them have one line, some of them have two. And I'm doing this for both the top and the bottom. So now I'm going to stamp out some starfish. So this is from Adina Wiggly Media stamp set, Scribbly Reef Creatures. And I'm stamping this onto book paper. And I also stamped a couple of these onto Dylusions Mixed Media cardstock. And then I'm going to use Distress Crayon in Abandoned Coral with a little bit of water and watercolor each of the starfish. Then I cut out all the starfish with the scissors and I'm going to just use a regular white gel pen to write out my quote. And this quote is, "Not all stars belong to the sky." So I'm going to end up creating some emphasis with some of the words. So like stars and sky will end up being a little bit bolder, but I like to write out my entire quote and make sure I like the placement of everything before I go back in and trace over the letters and highlight them. So right now, the camera, you kind of can't see these words very well. A little bit, but not completely. So I am going to go back in and trace over everything and really make every letter kind of much bolder than it is right now. So as you can see, as I mentioned before, I've traced everything. Now you can really see that quote. And I'm just going to place down all of my starfish using Dylusions glue stick. You could really use any medium you wanted, but I like the convenience of the glue stick. So I'm just placing the starfish kind of in a circular pattern around my quote, going through the middle on top of that coral, painted coral area that I created. And the fourth starfish, I wanted it to be going off the page, so I'm just going to use my scissors and cut it in half. And then using, the Dylusions glue stick to glue it down. And I didn't want to waste that little scrap of starfish that I cut off earlier, so I just decided to glue that down too. So I'm going to have this one coming in on the left side of the page. And then I decided that my starfish are a little too light, so I'm just going directly right from the Distress Crayon onto each starfish to add some bolder color. I'm just going to smudge it with my finger so that it blends in a little bit. And then I'm going to add some shadow with a black gel pen around the two main words, so stars and sky. And I'm adding my shadow on the left So the light's coming from the left, so all of my shadow will be on the right side of my letter. So on the right side of everything, I'm adding a black line. And I'm doing this consistently throughout each letter so that there isn't confusing shadows being added. They're all consistently added on the right side. And that just allows the two main focal point words to pop a little bit from the background. So I'm leaving all this footage in here so you can see exactly where I'm placing my shadows. And as I stated before, I'm making sure that I only place it on the right side, as in my mind, I find it a lot easier if you kind of picture where your light source is coming from. So for me, it's coming from the left side. All my shadows are going on the right side to reflect that where that light source is coming from. And then I'm going in with my white Posca paint pen to add some doodle details to each of the starfish. And then I'm trying to recreate the texture that starfish kind of have, that sandy look to them. So I'm going in with some translucent grit paste, and I'm just with a palette knife adding a little bit to the top of each of my starfish. And this will dry completely clear and show the color underneath. So this is more just for the texture to make them look a little bit more realistic. You could skip this step, but I really think that it looks really cool when it's dried. So totally optional, up to you. I like adding just little details to my page to give it more interest. So I'm just carefully using a palette knife, and some areas are a little bit thicker than others, and I'm also with my palette knife creating texture within the texture paste, so it's not just one smooth even layer. I'm dabbing it on so it has valleys and peaks. And just like that, our page is done. I hope this inspires you to create your own seascape page, and I'd love to see what you're making, so to be sure to share with us on social media using hashtag MixedMediaInspired. And if you'd like to learn more about how you can be part of this subscription every month, check out the description below. I'll put links to all that. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel so you don't miss out on any of our future videos. Have a wonderful day.